Welcome, friends, to this edition of Take 5, our midweek reflection on the Scriptures. And today, rather than reflect on the Scriptures, I want to reflect on why it's important that we take time in the middle of the week to reflect on the Scriptures, because we've run out of our daily Bible reading and reflection guide. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Well, we made a decision that for right now at least, we might revise this later on through the year, but we're not going to have our own in-house reading and reflection guide. And a big reason for that is because there's so many really good resources out there to help you to get into reading and reflecting on the Scriptures through the week. And we'll put a slide up at the end that shows some of these, but let me just buzz through a couple. If you're somebody you really need to have something in your hand, well, at church we've for a long time given away these upper rooms and daily bread devotionals, which are pretty quick. A little portion of Scripture and something about that. If you want to dig deeper, there is this Bible reading guide that Peggy Fleming developed a while ago to take us through the Scriptures in a year in about 15 or 20 minutes of reading per day. And there are a lot of other things and print resources that you can avail yourselves of. There's a ton of online resources out there to get you into Scripture daily. Among them, boy, if you go to bible.com/reading-plans, you can find literally dozens of different reading plans that either take you through a book of the Bible or through a particular theme, some of them very short term. When I just clicked on the front page yesterday, there was one that was just a 4-day one on the subject of worry, which again is, I think, probably because people are starting back to school, and that's a big subject for some. There's another one that was, I think, a 2-week plan with scripture and reflections by the rapper Lecrae on the whole theme of restoration. Now, I must say that for most of my Christian life, I haven't done any of that. I've simply read my Bible, either going from beginning to end, or I'll take a few months where I'll just really focus on a certain section or a certain book of the Bible and go through that, maybe go through that a couple of times in that period. In the next couple months, though, I'm going to be doing something that for me is a little different. I'm going to be going through this Moody Bible Institute reflection guide that's online that my wife has been doing for a long time now. And so I thought maybe we'd have something we can talk about at dinner besides just, the dinner. And you can find that at todayintheword.com. And what this does, and what Moody does, is they either for each month focus on one particular book of the Bible or one theme all throughout the Scriptures. And there's a portion of Scripture each day and a reflection on it. But my point in all this, friends, is to say there's a whole lot of resources out there for doing this, for getting a Scripture into yourself throughout the week in a way that you hear it and apply it to your life. And I just want to encourage you to find some resource and some method that really works well for you. But why? Why really should we do this? Should we be about trying to get the Scriptures into us through the week? Well, a lot of things that we could say about that, but I think it boils down to two broad reasons. One, because it pleases God, and secondly, because it can really bless us. That reading and reflecting on the Scriptures through the week is something that pleases God. I think about how in the Old Testament there are a number of sacrifices that they talk about there. There's only one sacrifice, though, that was offered daily. And that is generally referred to as simply the burnt offering. And the purpose for it was not to atone for sins. It was not to offer gratitude. It was simply, as Scripture says, to offer up a sweet-smelling aroma or pleasure to God Himself. And I think of how in the New Testament, Romans 12, it says we're to offer ourselves as living sacrifices to God. So when you take a few moments to read and reflect on the Scriptures each day, to hear what God says, think of that as being like a sweet-smelling scent or aroma to God, something that we offer to Him that pleases Him. And that reading and reflecting on the Scripture through the week can really be helpful for us. First of all, simply because it gives us information about who God is and what God has done, and that's kind of foundational for then being encouraged by God or challenged to live in light of who God is and what He says. And then over time, as we develop this habit of reading and reflecting on the Scriptures throughout the week, it reinforces in us a more God-centered view of life. I'll give an example of what I mean by this. Recently, I was reading in one of my morning times, just in reading the scriptures, I came again to Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus talks about loving your enemies. Now, even people who don't know the Bible or aren't Christians know that Jesus said, love your enemies. I know that Jesus said to love your enemies. I've preached on Matthew 5. I've probably read it 100 times or more. I've led Bible studies on it. I've listened to other people talk about it. And so really, in one sense, there was nothing new about what I read that day, or not even really what I was thinking about as I reflected on that. But as I sat there at my kitchen table that morning, early reading this scripture passage that was very familiar, it struck me anew that while God's kingdom, the realm in which people love their enemies, while this is on the one hand so different from the everyday world that we live in, it's also very, very attractive. And so I really found myself wanting to say, yeah, I want to be more in this realm, and I want to reflect the values of this realm to other people around me. And so, in other words, that brief time around the breakfast table just helped to reinforce to me again that, wow, God is real. And He really has told us about ways to live that are good and they're life-giving. Well, friends, if you're already engaged in a regular plan that you have to read and take in and reflect on the scriptures through the week, I just want to encourage you to keep at it. And if you haven't yet, I want to encourage you to get kind of jump started in this. And we'll leave you again with a shot of some resources that can help you to do that. And if you want some help in this, talk to me, talk to Melissa, talk to Luke, talk to somebody here who maybe can help you get jump started into this habit that will not only please God, but will also really, really be a blessing to you in your life. Well, thanks much, friends, and hope that God blesses you real well this week.